I'm not going to take a lot of your time, but I do want to share a little bit about our organization. So, Michael's from the oil industry. So, Michael and I go back 32 years. We're best friends. The third person that's part of this organization we've known for close to 30 years as well. I strive to surround myself with good energy, and it's exemplified by a number of the beings that are here today. And just know how much I love y'all. And for a number of y'all that I met today, man, there's something called being an illuminary. If you're an illuminary, it's gravitational. So people, they're drawn to it. And with us, we just sat down. He got back from doing a well. He said, hey, I have an idea. Every time I drill an oil well, I want to drill a freshwater well. And then I said, well, how much did that run? And he told me. I said, okay, I want to do that. I said, but I want to drill it on my birthday. Well, that charity that we were going to work through couldn't drill it on my birthday. And that was the best gift I could give to myself, would be to give strangers something. So that started the dialogue. And we said, well, hold on. We're three business executives. We know how to run businesses. Running a charity, one of the biggest challenges for charities is they don't always run themselves like a business. And not from a profit perspective, but from a structure and a process and a sustainability perspective. And so we said, well, why don't we start our own charity? And so we were like, okay, well, what's the name? And we're both, we have a spiritual center in our lives, and we were like, what about eternal water? So give something to someone for eternity. We ended up founding the charity last year, and the goal was simply just to provide sustainable, clean water for every human being on the planet. And so the process that we go through, just to share a little bit, so we had to align with an operational organization that we could trust. So one that could actually find the water, number one, because the work we just did over the last few days, it's not for the meek. We're up at 5:15 in the morning. We took 9-hour drives to the village to get to it after we landed in the airport. So you're not hanging out in Antigua, that 5-star hotel you like. So we then, after we find the operational group, we have to go meet with political leaders, which ironically I had a friend of my friend Smokey come up to me and told me one day that I would meet with global leaders and government officials, and then we were in the meeting with sawed-off shotgun security guards and working through translators, and it dawned on me that I was doing what this lady walked up and told me I would do something. And so after you get the politicians involved, which remember, politicians get reelected, so there's a way to position this for them as well, you have to go find the village. And so whenever we go in, because of our I guess really just our training as business executives, is you have to do a needs assessment. So even though we provide water, if we're going into a village that's never been touched by anybody, so you have to understand these people don't have Wi-Fi. Nobody's ever given them anything. They're just out there. And so it's, okay, well, what's really required to help these human beings' lives? And is it something that can be sustainable? So we do what's called a needs assessment. Any of y'all in business know exactly what that is. So then we say, okay, well, here's things that we can provide. So this last trip that I'll tell you about in a second, we also did hygiene. So we taught the kids in school about the importance of washing their hands as well as brushing and flossing their teeth. So hold on one second. See my socks, you'll know I have to drink that water. So a few of y'all know that joke. So either way, after that, it's just getting the community to participate. Anybody that's given something for free, they don't usually value it. So we go back to the politicians, say, okay, we need you to dig a couple 6-foot deep mud pits. We need you to provide a couple bags of concrete, PVC piping, and so on. And that's their vested interest, as well as then people from the community actually come work with our teams. So we have the ability to bring people, so if any of you are touched by this message, and I'll talk a little bit about it in a sec, you're able to actually come and attend as a volunteer worker. Now again, You are not at a 5-star hotel, okay? I mean, we're in a 3-star hotel, probably a 4-star there, right? I would say maybe the one at Refugio, 3 or 4?
No.
2.5. 2.5. Two.
There we go.
That does. I'm going 2 words.
Yeah, we should have said that. by the way.
Protect your
Yeah,
ship.
so you just killed my deal now. So either way.
Who wants to sign up?
So, but there is the opportunity, and you know that's so. Where we just returned from is a place called El Refugio, and again, this is a little village that's up near the coast of the Pacific coast of Guatemala. If you don't know where Guatemala is, it's the first country south of Mexico. And they have about 50 families, about 300 people. The only thing is, in El Refugio, there's a 20% death rate before you're 5. There's virtually no one over the age of 50. And the reason for that is because what they are drinking, bathing, cooking, and washing their clothes out of is a contaminated stream because there's a sugarcane field across the way. And whenever it rains, the pesticides run into the water. So with that, we really said, okay, we're going to go in and, let's go in and drill the well. And we actually did it through a great donor of ours. It's Eagle Rock Ministries. And Miss Stephanie Rafty is right here. She's the leader of that organization. And please give me a round of applause. So we went in. We weren't able to bring in a hydraulic drill, which, because we're all crazy, we actually want to put the work in. We figure we'll get work out in while we're there. We hand cranked a 140-foot well. And so if you don't know how you drill a well, you actually go down with a pipe or with a drill bit that's about that big. Then after you get through drilling in 5-foot increments where you're having to attach the aluminum pole that weighs about 50 pounds maybe, you end up having to bring them all up, disconnect them, and then you have to go down with a bigger one. It's the same way you drill oil, okay? So what we were able to do, though, is whenever we went down, we're pulling soil samples every 5 feet. And by looking at the formation of the compound, you're able to say, okay, here's where the water is. Well, the water is between 60 and 120 feet. So we drill the well, we open it up, we start flushing it, and we realized through, I'll share how, but we had tapped into an underground river. So we open up the spigot, we're dumping 150 gallons a minute for 5 hours. We look at the water level and it only dropped 4 feet. So we shut off the spigot and go down and measure the water well, and it's back up to its maximum depth. I looked at the ops guy and I said, Jaime, what does this mean? He said, they're gonna have water forever. So with that being said, we also did identify other things there because we did not have some of these standard operating procedures in place whenever we did our tour in October. So we did our needs assessment while we were down there. And what we found out is that they have holes in their roofs of their school. So these students during rainy season have to sit in a class and get rained on while they're trying to do schoolwork. And these schools are not the kind of schools that we see here. You're talking about, cinder blocks that are 30 by 20, and there's 3 rooms, and you're separated up by age, 0 through, or kindergarten through 6. So we also have a goal of drilling a number of wells this year. Michael will be in Africa later this year doing some just reconnaissance for us. Our organization, we have no racial preference or bias. We have no sexual orientation bias. If your heart tells you that you want to affect the world, then we would be interested in talking with you.
There you go. That's it.
So we're going to return on May 11th, and we're going to separate our teams. We'll go drill a well in another village. We'll also go back to El Refugio, and we will put a roof on the school, and we'll help make people's lives a little better.
Yeah.
So in closing, there are ways you can help us if you so choose. Number one, we have hand-sewn Mayan Indian scarves that are up there at the front. if you donate, why don't y'all go grab a couple of those if you don't mind? Or grab one. Well, you have about a minute before I'm done. So, but the deal is, if you donate more than $25, we will give you one of these scarves. You couldn't get one of these in the States for a lot more than that. We just figured that people would like them to help create money for the charity. You can donate on eternalwater.us. If you want to sponsor a well, if your company wants to sponsor it, you actually can etch on a nameplate. Yeah, these are beautiful. You want to model that?
No.
You're going to be shy now.
It is. I got one. It's the softest fabric. Like it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, sure, it's yours. All right.
If you want one, just know that
I like the green.
So if you want to sponsor a well and your corporation wants to
And
do
they're
it, you
ambidextrous.
actually can have an etched nameplate along with the actual workers. So if you send workers, they can actually have their name etched in stone as well, and it'll be there forever. To sponsor a well, it's $7,000. There are no administrative fees tied to our charity. We do all this volunteer, so the money going in goes out. And if you want to attend as a volunteer worker, it's $1,950, and that's everything. That's airfare, hotel, food. You don't spend a dime there unless you're drinking alcohol or if you're buying things. And, or the other thing again, if you have $5, we're gonna do this one day at a time, one well at a time. We have no master agenda. We're just trying to make the world a little better and help just one more person. And I guess really the last thing I will close with is our ultimate objective from this event. It wasn't really to raise money for a water well, not for me. What it was that I hope somewhere, if you've heard anything in my words, that it maybe sparks something in your heart and in your mind that you can take forward and you can actually go and impact the world. We're in a very interesting time in our existence. There's always evolution. So if somehow any of this has helped any of y'all just to start with say good morning to the person who serves you coffee in the morning. Y'all see the look on their face. They act like they've never had it said to them. It's crazy.
Shit.
So
smile.
thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And now,
All right.
much more.